What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back here to another day here in Walt Disney World. We have some news that came out a couple of weeks back, but I wanted to discuss it because the Grand Floridian is the gem of the Disney resorts, or the flagship resort of Walt Disney World. And this resort is a resort that, normally I wouldn't make an entire video about a lobby, but I think this lobby in particular is a very important one for Walt Disney World. And there's a lot that goes on in the Grand Floridian lobby. So we're going to start off with the fact that they are doing renovations to the lobby. Now, this has been talked about for a long time now. And going back to the Bob Chapek era of Disney, you remember when they took out a lot of different theming in this resort. They definitely felt that it was an old resort, looked like grandma's resort, and they took a lot of that theming out, which I don't necessarily agree with, and I think a lot of the more pure nostalgic Disney fans also feel that way. But they've put a lot of elements of Cinderella in here and Mary Poppins in some of the rooms and things like that. But also you have the Meisner's Lounge, which is now officially known as, I believe, what is it? It's the Beauty and the Beast one. It's like the Rose, the Enchanted Rose, or something like that. It's a bar. And the big thing a lot of people were worried about, so two specific things. So the first thing was what was going to happen with the events, because the two big events that happen here are the Easter eggs that they showcase in the main lobby, obviously for Easter. And then they also have the Christmas gingerbread house display. So the news for 2025 is we will not have a giant gingerbread house display in the Grand Floridian. And this would have been its 26th year, and it will not be happening this year, as they are completely renovating this lobby area that we're kind of hanging out in today. So that's the first thing. So the first thing is we don't know what's going to happen with Easter of 2026, but as of for Christmas for 2025, we do know that this will not be available. The piano will be staying. I think it might have a different location, but the piano will be in the lobby. And then we also have the birdcage. And this birdcage is very infamous with this resort as kind of being just the, I guess you could say, the weenie of the lobby that draws your attention. So this will now become a bar. And I don't know what I think of that. I like that they're keeping it, but the fact that they're turning the birdcage into a bar is very Disney in 2025. I understand the need for it because a lot of people that stay at the Grand Floridian, they do look for bars and things like that. The Enchanted Rose is always packed. So it does make sense in that regard. And you have to remember a lot of the more corporate business type of people that stay at the Grand Floridian, they're looking for those types of quick sit-down bars and things like that. And it's a very easy way for Disney to turn a buck. I mean, let's be honest. That is the big reason they are doing that. And it's basically going to refund this entire redevelopment of the lobby itself. So it does make a lot of sense for Disney to do that. The work started, which was in April, and it's supposed to be through November. And the goal is to keep and preserve a lot of the classic Victorian theme in here, but that's going to be difficult to do, especially with a lobby bar in there now. It's going to change the atmosphere a little bit. And what we're hearing is the birdcage is going to be in the opposite side location of where it is now, and the bar will be basically just across the way in the lobby from the birdcage. So the birdcage will be staying, but it will be getting moved over a little bit. Now, obviously, Imagineers, this is a very difficult task for them to kind of redevelop this lobby, but they're going to do what they can with what they have. it seems like the main structure of the Grand Floridian will be staying the same, so nothing in that regard will be changing. But we're expecting to see some sort of an airy, garden-like atmosphere enhanced by botanical touches and fresh, inviting colors. And that's from the Disney PR team. So this, if you want to think of an example recently, I think a good example of maybe what this could be like in a different theme, the Polynesian. You know how they have that garden in the middle of the area? That could be something we see sort of here. And in a lot of the, the Hyatt resorts and the Gaylord resorts, you see a lot of that type of almost like a botanical garden or plants in the middle. And I actually think this is a good idea, depending on how it's done, but I think this could be a good idea because, one of the criticisms for this resort it is a very stuffy resort in the sense that it is very vintage Victorian, yes, which a lot of people come here for that theming, but it is very, I don't want to say bland because bland is not the right word for it, but you have to remember the average guest coming here is expecting something, and I'm not saying I agree with that, but I think they expect a little bit less of a stuffy, more comfortable environment, and maybe having a garden in the middle of the lobby would help with that a little bit. So that's kind of what we're expecting here. Nothing super crazy, but I did want to discuss it because I think this is the Grand Floridian, right? Like this is the main resort in the Magic Kingdom loop, but also in all of Walt Disney World. And lots of money comes through here. And you consider in the second story, all the boutiques and the shops. I mean, this resort makes lots of money for Disney. And if you ever go into this resort, the amount of expensive jewelry and clothing, I mean, they have shirts that sell for $500. I mean, they have some really interesting stuff in here. And it's not for the average guest, but for the people that, like I said, maybe corporate sponsorships or corporate partnerships or anything like that. A lot of those people come through here, and they're not necessarily buying a goofy pumpkin Mickey head, but they are going to be buying expensive shirts and jewelry and hats and things like that, and body cream. They have some really interesting stuff, and obviously I recommend that you check that stuff out. You don't have to necessarily buy this stuff, but to check it out, it is quite interesting. And I will say, I think for a lot of this is a good blend for maybe some of the people that are more on the average Disney guest coming in, because I just recently went to the Hershey Hotel, and it is very, very similar to the Grand Floridian in terms of that Victorian style. They have palm trees in the main lobby that definitely brightens things up and lives things up a little bit. You have a nice fountain in the middle. And that felt in a similar way stuffy. Like I would almost feel uncomfortable coming back from Hershey Park in a t-shirt and shorts and sneakers into that resort. And I think you get that very similar feel here at the Grand, because I think that is it is a very classy and upscale resort that I think, like I said, some normal guests maybe feel a little bit deterred and uncomfortable. And I think that's maybe a way Disney's trying to not only add a bar to make money, but also to change up the environment a little bit. I think it could be a real benefit for this resort in the long term. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of the potential new look to the Grand Floridian? What do you think they are going to end up making this look like? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm really excited to see this. It seems like there's good intention here, and like I said, I'm not usually the most optimistic, especially when they start throwing bars into lobbies and stuff. Like, could this set a precedent for what we're going to see at even some of the moderate resorts in the future, and maybe the rest of the like resorts like the Polynesian? They kind of have that already with Trader Sam's, but there's going to be now 2 bars in the lobby, quote unquote, for the Grand Floridian, so who's to say they can't put 2 in the Polynesian, right? So Let me know what you guys think down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a magical day.